I needed to press the record button while the number 5 was still on the clock. I know that you could say at this stage, well, I don't know whether that's true, Neil. You might be saying 5 and it's actually 7:30 or something, but honestly, it's 5:55, 5 to 6 in the morning, and I'm at Savernake Forest with Mali. I know Mali's featured on the show a good few times now. You know Mali of the trees, Mali Davies. But I asked him, because we've just had our 500th show recording, and he was staying for a few extra days. And so I said, would you walk into Savernake Forest with me? Because it's a forest very close to where I live, and I'll do some history about it in just a moment's time. But I said, can you teach me why you have, or how you have, this absolute passionate obsession for trees? I'm not expecting you to teach me tree recognition, but I want to get to know you through the trees and the woodland a bit more. So today this is a woodland edition. I'm not a tree photographer. I love walking in forest. You know that. I love woodland. But you love it on a entirely different scale.
I think we spoke about this quite a bit over the past 2 days. And it's, aren't they wonderful? I think people forget about the clouds and the trees. And in photography, they're an accessory sometimes, whereas I see them as the main meal.
Oh. Bumble oak.
Oh.
A bumble oak. Why is this one particularly signposted? Is that unusual for an oak?
Look at the girth. Look at the girth. That's got some serious ringage. Although we don't want to cut it down to see how old it is. No. Isn't that the stupidity of humans? Let's cut that tree down to see how old it is. No, all joking aside, that looks at least...
What do you think?
Oh, I'd say that's a good 300 or 400 year old. It's an oak tree. Look at these. Look at these acorns. There you go. Fresh. To think they are new trees in my hand.
Yeah.
And why we don't have more oaks in this wonderful land of ours.
Why don't we have more oaks?
Well, do we jump straight into that? Should we go for that?
No, I tell you what, hang on to that for a while, because you've got something to say about the way trees have been treated in the UK over the last few hundred years. Anyway, welcome, Savernake Forest. That's where we are. It's a woodland edition today. And I was struggling for my words at the start, but at 5 to 6 in the morning, I don't think I'm quite as fully awake in terms of being able to find my words as I usually am.
Today on the photo walk.
It was the first taste of freedom and being surrounded by these massive trees in the Forest of Dean and seeing a landscape that shaped a young man into loving nature, because that was the freedom. I'm not just enjoying it for myself, I'm connecting with everyone else. You can relate to and go, oh, there's a beauty there. You should express yourself, and getting out with the camera can be hard when you're not feeling good or it's raining. But let the rain fall on your head. Enjoy the mood you're in. Use the camera to get it out of you. Here's a good one. Come out with a camera and one lens and just walk and shoot. Your camera you've got now will do ideally.
So, Mali Davies is my guest on the Photo Walk show today. It's a walking show, so no mailbag on this one, but plenty of stories, some left field ones too, that I just don't think you'll be expecting. A moment of proper reality and soft old sausages, as we say toward the end, and some history mid-course that I don't think I've ever discussed with Mali before, or on the show actually. And, I'm sorry, bring some ear defenders, because we sing as well. And I'd just like to say, neither of us were under the influence of any amber nectar or forest mushrooms, just lost in childhood memories. Before we start, I want to personally thank those who are Patreon members of our community, our extra milers as you're known, because your belief in this show and your desire to keep us walking together week after week is the why and the how of this podcast. Every week there's an extra show available through Patreon, which now features a second part of my conversation with my guest. Today is no different. Mali is returning
to answer what we call 3 more stops on the extra mile. And also thank you to my sponsor, arthelper.ai, who help you sell your photos online by making the posts and the mock-ups and the marketing emails for you. If you have ever thought, I would like to sell my work, I've got some great stuff from Woodland too, but you haven't got a clue where to start, well, arthelper.ai I think will have just the answers you need. They do the tricky bits for you, and you can get 30 days free with code PHOTOWALK when you go to arthelper.ai. Sell your work online and let them guide you to how to do it. So we have a few miles ahead of us actually today. I think we should start walking. Checklist out. Coffee, check. Garibaldi's, check. Walking boots, check. Tick repellent, very apt for this one, as you'll find out later, check. Do some spare film, maybe an extra SD card, yep, always, check. And as I say, ear defenders for some forest karaoke later on. Let's walk.
Look at this. I don't know how many metres high that is. What do you think?
Oh, that's a good 15.
More than
20
that,
metres.
surely.
Yeah, 20 metres.
Huge. Now, this is a beach, isn't it?
It is a beach.
Yeah.
It's rather big for a beach.
Is it?
Yeah, that's just incredible height and size, girth again. And the beach they don't live as old as a lot of trees like our classic English oaks but it's a sight to behold. This is quite incredible. And there's a lot of these. We've passed a few actually, but not with this girth. Just think of the things this tree's seen as time's passed. But they start to lose branches. You can see here, there's quite a bit come down.
Yeah. That
That big branch there's on its way. And then they'll come down from the top. You'll end up with like these ghost-like stumps or shapes of...
There's quite a few of those here, aren't there?
They're like soldiers left behind. Just they turn white and gnarly and become very characterful. So they even have a good shout in death at being something of interest. We have got a few, haven't we, to see down here. But one of the shocks for me about this place, beyond the big beach and the variety of trees, because we've got the birch over there, mountain ash, hawthorn, alder. It is alder, that one over there. And the beach don't normally get as big as this where I come from. Neil always says to me, well, you've got trees like this back home. We really don't. That tree's double the width of any tree I go to in Johnny's Woods or local. I've said this to you as well the other day. We was talking about preservation and how the aristocracy have provided a safety for some of England's, the United Kingdom's beautiful natural landscape. And I'm not what you call a fan of royalty or
not a royalist.
No, but I loved the Queen, and I think Paul said it eloquently yesterday. She was a part of our lives, all our life, so I have a lot of respect for the Queen as a person. I never met her. Like we never had.
That's one of my biggest regrets, that I never got to meet the Queen.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved to have met the Queen. You're right. She was a part of our life. The aristocracy thing. Yeah. When you were telling me about that, I didn't. I don't want to leap too much into the history right now, because I want to try and do this in some sort of sequential order with your life and trees. But since we've started the aristocracy theme,
well, it was only a little insight. I wasn't going to go into it too far, because I know you want to do a lot more on this, what we talked about. But I mentioned the Queen because these people had a love for trees, and your arboretums up and down the country were created out of funding from these gentry of society, if you like. And without them, a lot of people wouldn't get the chances to look back in time, because each and every one of these in this forest are a time machine. And that excites me as well, because you can sit there and almost imagine a time lapse flying around you and seeing how like horse and cart and going back even further in time to bow and arrow and people living off the land, little smoke puffs popping up in the distance because, Little John's making himself an early chow and things like that. You can imagine people live simple lives. And I think that's what connects me and others to these places, is the fact that you're transported to a much simpler time and a feeling of being more connected to nature.
I would imagine, if you're talking about the aristocracy, that we... look at this. What's this one?
That's a beach.
That's a beach as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So can you see how that's starting for shed?
Right.
It's split up into multiple stems, so as the tree goes up, it's starting to lose its bigger branches around, and no doubt here it's a managed forest. They have to take care for them and make sure that nothing falls on people's heads. But I quite like the idea that you just let the tree fall on people's heads, because
You can't do that.
leave the trees alone.
Leave the trees. I tell you what, just down there, since you've got my imagination now in a flourish, there's a little hobbit.
There is, isn't there?
Just down there. I shouldn't say little hobbit, should I? That's probably not.
They are little though. They just had big feet.
Yeah. There was something about, we've been watching, have you seen, is it Human or Humans? I can't remember what it's called. The human race. And for a long time there were humans that were of that kind of stature.
Like Homo sapien, there was a different... They found another...
with really long feet and fascinating. Anyway, I don't want to come too far off the beaten track in terms of... I was just about to mention that I suppose we're lucky in terms of having a king that's so ecologically sound.
Oh, hey, yeah. Charlie, love him or loathe him or whatever you think. I'm all down with the king for talking to the trees. Good lad.
I know that's...
he had the Mickey took out of him for it. But now look at the world. So 20 years on, because when he started all this, they've now done scientific tests where they've recorded what happens to the plants and the trees when you talk to them. Or if you look after... It's like anything. If you apply love to something, it will grow. And he was saying this 20 years ago.
More than that, 40.
And now they're saying, it's actually true. It's right, that.
Yeah. And that love of wildlife has been passed down through his family, which is a good thing to see. Anyway, we've got to get further into this forest. Savernak's a reasonably big forest. Not the biggest, I'm sure, but there's what's this?
Something a lot of photographers don't talk about because it's not photogenic. I might get an image of this later, actually. It's all the fallen beech wood that's been left and is become rotten and is decaying. And this is, if you like, this is the special material that helps for other trees to grow, because as they decay, you termites and you'll get all kinds of insects within this bark. And if you look, I'll do some...
What are we expecting to see?
We want to see some little creatures. Oh. Can you see? You've got burrowed. The beetles are probably burrowed into that. But all this will become full of all the forest understory of insects and beetles and bugs. And then, as you can look at the mulch...
There's one, just came running out.
The mulch underneath as well is just so fertile and brilliant for preserving life from the smallest creatures to end up with these trees that are so mighty.
Yeah.
So it's a rejuvenation, death of the tree forms life of another.
Right, let me tell you a little bit about Savernake Forest. Back to Studio Self. It's probably a little bit warmer. It's chilly this morning.
Nippy.
He said, you won't need coat. I'm thinking, I do. No, you won't. I do. You won't, he said. I do need... No, you won't.
Soft lad.
As the saying goes, if only trees could talk, Savernake Forest would be a very chatty place indeed. This stretch of ancient woodland in Wiltshire, just south of Marlborough, in the Shires of England land, has been standing for well over 1,000 years, long before tarmac roads, obviously. It's what's known as a forest of ancient trees. Not just because it sounds suitably Arthurian, but because it genuinely contains some of the oldest living things in Britain. Some of the oaks and beeches have been here since before Columbus spotted the Americas. The forest dates back to at least the Saxon period and was recorded in the Domesday Book of 1086, which, for those who skipped history class, including me, is basically the granddaddy of British spreadsheets. Back then, the forest was part of a royal hunting ground, a playground for kings and queens and nobles who fancied a bit of deer chasing and falcon waving. And over the centuries, it remained in the hands of one family, the Seymour line. As in Jane Seymour, yes, the third wife of Henry VIII, making it a rare example of a forest that has never left private ownership. Remarkably, it's still managed today by the descendants of the same family under a long-standing custodianship with the Forestry Commission. This is no neatly trimmed park, though. Savernake is wilder, older, and wears its history on the bark. Hollow oaks look like they've weathered Viking raids, moss-covered paths that crunch with centuries of footsteps, and ancient pollarded trees. As you can imagine, whenever we come here together, Mali is in tree heaven.
I've talked about this before, but for my other listener who really doesn't listen as hard as they should, I want to introduce how I met Mali, really, and it was through one of his wonderful YouTube films. And I'm not sure whether I embellish this with each time I tell the story, but I'll tell it anyway. There was a particular film. Were you in Johnny's Woods? No, you were going up to your tree.
Crank Hill, yeah.
Crank Hill, that's it. And I don't know, and the great algorithmic. What have you seen?
Oh, and just look at the light. Look, you see. So every time I've been here with Neil, it's been blue sky, bright as anything. You get specular highlights. It's very difficult to photograph in, although not impossible, and you can get some beautiful backlit. But just to go on to the point of where we are, look at what we're looking now. It's a tunnel of darkness with just pockets of soft light, where the green is almost sage, and you can feel the moisture. This is what I really wanted us to get. Just a touch of atmosphere in that now, and you have got the most mystical and just fantastical scene. Fantastical.
You made that
That's
up.
a word. Goblins and fairies and elves.
As Russ Abbott said, I love a party with a bit of atmosphere. First time, I'll go back to that story. First time, I think there'll be a lot of this, by the way. I'll be talking about something and Mali will stop. He's got his tripod planted, so I can tell this. So he's about to plant his tripod, so I can tell this story. We'll talk a bit about Kit, by the way, today. Kit, Neil, you're going to get a nosebleed. I know. We're going to talk a bit about Kit. But the first film I saw Mali on YouTube was wonderful. There was this effusive, loud chap walking up a crank hill towards his what we now lovingly call Mali's tree. And he was very, very excited, and he was talking to camera, and then mid-chat he said, "F*** me, would you look at that?" And I laughed out loud. I thought, this chap is just so enamoured, so hooked into what he has a proper, and I know this is an overused word, but I'm going to use it anyway, passion for what he's currently going through. And I love that of you. And that's when I subscribed immediately. You didn't even need to do a like and subscribe. I was subscribed immediately. And that started our friendship, really, even though you weren't to know it at the time.
I think I wrote into the show because I've been listening to
I saw you first.
Did you see you did? Yeah, he's embellishing again, but it's fine. So that's Crank Hill sycamore tree. Is a tree, obviously a lawn tree. And then he nicknamed it a Mali's tree, which was a bit embarrassing on Wednesday when everyone was saying, "Oh, it's Mali of the trees, Mali's tree." I'm like, what has he done to me? But it's a beautiful thing.
I made you a caricature of yourself.
Very kind.
Yeah.
It is very kind.
No, I do think now, and we say this in our family as well, if we're driving somewhere and we see a lone tree, and they're beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you can never find somewhere to stop and take a photograph of them, but everybody in the car will shout out, "It's a Mali's tree!" So it's become infamous in our family. It really has. Morning.
Morning, Patch, you all right?
Yeah,
Morning.
good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad.
Good. First dog walk of the day.
Yeah.
Serious business.
Yeah, too right.
See you later.
I forgot what we were saying.
Oh no,
now.
we're talking about Mali's tree.
Mali's tree, of
Lone
course.
trees.
Crankill and lone trees. And where did this come from? I think that's what you was asking me.
Yeah.
How did it happen? Well, I guess I have to, as most people who were into nature, who was the first people that show you that is your granddad, isn't it, or your grandma, or being out with your dad or whatever. For me, it was my granddad, and finding locations on a hot summer's day, or blackberry picking, or heading out with the dog go for quite a big walk. So we had a dog called Ben and we had a dog called Sam, and we'd take him out, and he introduced me to Johnny's Woods, and I was told about the history of it, how my family, there was once a row of houses there, and each generation of family would move from one house to the other as they got bigger, and then ending with the last house, which was like the oldest people in the family. And I'm like, really? And he was like, yeah, there was a row of houses there that the Turners lived in, and as they had kids, they'd move into the bigger house, and they just swapped premises back then. They didn't have to ask permission or licenses or sell on, and this row of houses was doing that for like a couple of 100 years, and that was just off Johnny's Woods where I go in Haydock. And at that time we're looking at big beech trees, not as big as here, but couple of 100 years old, and they just captivated me. I was in awe of these huge.
How old were you?
We're probably 5, 6.
Oh, quite young then.
And walking a lot, and then of course connections with Liverpool, took on walks to Liverpool Airport.
Morning.
Walking through the city up to miles. This is the thing. We'd go off and walk, wouldn't think anything about walking 10 miles with my dad. And a place we've frequented every year was the Forest of Dean.
Oh, yes.
And I've told this story before, but every year for 12 years we went on holiday there. Well, that might sound a bit, oh God, you must have hated that, because kids get fed up, don't they? But for me, to go there, I were left alone. I'd have a bike and I'd go down the farm track, and I'd leave the bike, didn't think about anyone stealing it, walk into this forest and walk for miles to the Dean Forest Railway, in further and further and further. I'd be a little bit more, adventurous each time. And not once, no mobile phone. My mum and dad did never think, oh, where is he, what's happening? It was the first taste of freedom, and being surrounded by these massive trees in the Forest of Dean, and seeing a landscape that shaped a young man into loving nature, because that was the freedom. Treedom and freedom, which was the first video. So go full circle, the first video Neil saw of me was called Treedom.
Oh, was that Treedom?
Yeah.
That was the one?
Yeah. And I think that today is something I try and instill in my girls, is to just feel that freedom to get out, not go with the scallies, go and have a look at some trees, go and have a walk, just walking, the act of walking. And listen to that. Listen.
I know. We're being serenaded. What are you taking a photo of? You set your tripod up here.
Well, I've set it all up and I don't like it.
Oh.
There's 3 trees that are really contrasty in the distance, and there was dappled light falling, like I said earlier, like a sage colour. But I don't think it's working. No, I'm not so sure.
No.
But we'll take it anyway, because, there's no reason why we shouldn't. I'm exposing it, so I don't normally use a tripod, but this morning, because I knew light was going to be difficult, And yeah, we're going to be with shutter speed at 1/3 of a second.
1/3 of a second.
1/3 of a second F8.
F8.
I'm going to bring that up to about F11. I dropped my ISO now to base ISO because we were shooting by hand. So I'm going to bring that up now. We're looking at 10 second exposure here. And I will have a look at my histogram. No highlights are being burned, but I'm bringing this up very bright. So now at 20-second exposure, there we go. F8 will do. Let's bring it back a little bit. Focusing. Do you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to go as wide open with this lens. I'm shooting. So we was on about gear, but people think, oh, well, what did you shoot with woodland? Do you know? I brought out my Z7 and I have a 24-200. And I'd say the majority of images over the past 2 to 3 years have been shot on this lens.
Have they?
And its widest aperture is 6.3, which we're going to do now and take that.
Stand back. Don't touch it. Don't touch the camera now. It's rolling.
He's been me dad again. Honestly. Honestly. Have you got a jacket? Where's your jacket? Do you need a jacket? We don't need a jacket. We're fat. Here we are. Let's just put delay. I'll put delay on because Neil's he's fretting.
Delay means that when you press the shutter, 2 seconds later, then it will start to do the business.
Well, on mirrorless cameras, you can have a timer, which we all know, countdown, shutter release, countdown timer. But on the Z7 or probably most cameras, you can use a delay so you get no shake from any mechanical or any shutter being closed.
Well, and including pressing the shutter button.
Yeah, well,
You're not going to be doing that.
It never worries me. It really doesn't. You get used to, you get soft. You know, you get used to how to use
press
your
the button?
camera.
What are you doing? Stop.
Oh, what am I doing? There we go.
It's like, it's like a cook that's just over stirring now.
No, for effect, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but nobody can see it.
But they can hear.
Right.
There you go.
Even the bird held its breath then. See that in the light there?
Yeah.
As you say, touch of autumn already. Can't be.
But when you said that, look at those little glints, those little shimmering light touching those, and they are autumn. Those leaves are dying. They're the first leaves of autumn, and we're in summer.
I know.
Bonkers, isn't it? But that's beach for you. They'll tend to do that. If you look up here now, we're getting to... So we've got a composition in front of us that I can only describe as a stippled... it's almost like someone's come along with a giant paintbrush and decided they're going to overlay layers of leaves, and it's a stippled effect. And I was speaking to a lady as we walked around Treedom Common, and she was saying to me about how, I don't really get, what I want from my tree photography, or I struggle with my woodland, or to see the composition. And one of the things I always say to people is narrow it down. You can cut off the bottom and you can cut off the top of the tree. You can have the bottom of the tree or you can have just the top. And in this instance, we're about a third the way up the tree.
You've gone mid-drift on the tree.
Yeah, with the autumn colour and that light was flecking in. I think I just grabbed it anyway. And it's just such a delicate scene with this one dark bark tree. Not the biggest. It's a very delicate tree. It's probably about 24 inches wide, very tall, and there's light coming now. We've got light. So one of the things I was just saying to Neil is, as I'm taking this photograph, I'm seeing the image with the stippling and the light and all these beautiful elements coming together. But the edit, this is the next step. But I think people, I've got to take another one, ladies and gentlemen. The light's coming on these autumn, just such orange, dappled light. I'm getting a bit excited. So basically the scene is removing distraction. I'm using the strength of this one bark with all this florets, this crescendo of leaves all around this solid bark. And then to get this how I want, it's the romance, and that is the edit. The love and the romance for these trees and what I'm seeing and feeling will now take place.
It'll translate to the edit room.
Yeah, using things like grads in Lightroom, using less clarity, using less texture, and then using the paintbrush to bring back. So you take away...
So you're removing this strict sharpness.
Yeah.
And you're replacing it by removing contrast, taking out clarity. Those faders are coming down.
Yeah, negative in lots of areas, but just delicate touches, not overly done. Maybe just trying this by removing the slide, bringing the sliders down.
You're not talking over the whole picture, you're talking...
On this occasion, we would do a full... I wouldn't be doing localised edits yet. I'd be looking at what I want to get from this scene, and what I'm seeing is understanding at this point, what do I want to get from this scene? And obviously, to me, it could be a slightly a Monet effect. It's a impressionistic shot. It's not about the full tree. We're not recording elements for someone to say this is oak, this is beech. This is now about creating something that's do I say it? Would look good on a canvas, would look good printed on some textured paper and become a piece of art, expression, and then that happens in the edit. So once I've gone negative on all the contrasts and possibly bringing the lighting down, pushing up the exposure if I can, even at this point we may blow out some areas. And that doesn't really matter. It's all about leading your eyes. So where those brighter areas are right now, where I'm looking, is in the centre of the frame. So that's good, takes us in. And then at that point, I'll get my brush out and I'll remove some of this painterly effect and bring back the detail in the bark, in the hardness of that dark stem and tree, and leave the rest to just fall off and feel, I can't think of the word. It is a beautiful, soft and decorative scene then. And that's your aesthetic, and that's how I like to think. I'm not just enjoying it for myself, I'm connecting with everyone else. You can relate to and go, there's a beauty there. Yeah. And I think that's passed through your soul. I think that's passed through your camera. That's given to you as a gift by nature. And you're just taking that and running with what's there and styling it out your way. Yeah, it's just wonderful.
While you were getting carried away a moment ago, getting all dewy-eyed, you mentioned art. Monet, actually, you mentioned. What does art mean? I know you went to art college, you're a graphic designer by trade, but what do artists mean to you in terms of how you photograph? How does that inspire you or inform you?
Well, they bring different brush strokes, don't they? An artist is in the painter, I guess you're referring to.
Yeah, I just wonder whether artists... A lot of photographers talk about when we discuss inspiration, often they'll say, well, actually it's not a photographer that I'm inspired by. I'm inspired by artists. And some landscape photographers will say Constable or do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying about painterly effects, and when we talk about seeing the image, and as I'm seeing one now where you can almost see the stippling of a brush, nature's softness, and then you just with a camera you're highlighting that, whereas an artist, that's his interpretation straight to canvas using a brush rather than photography. So you get a different approach, a different feel. You get a wonderful insight into how you can treat light because of the way, the viscous nature of paint, the way it moves around. I think with photography, it is a way of recording in its perfect state, whereas I'd like to then apply influence like Gustav Klimt. So I was into a lot of abstract expressionism as a...
I love a gate that makes noise. Hold on. So, go on, Klimt.
Yeah, Gustav Klimt or I like me Paul Klee, Wallis Kandinsky, Underwasser. There's many. I could go on all day. There's so many. Jean Miro. And the way, they're quite graphical, a lot of those, but it still applies to what we're seeing today, because the shapes and where you place them on the frame, I'm influenced by those artists. It's the shapes and where they place them on the frame, the use of colour, contrast. All your compositional rules are laid forth before you by a painter and an artist in a much more obvious way than a photographer would, I find. That's just me. I seem to connect better with looking at artists and understanding what they've done and how they've done it. Interestingly, at the portrait gallery yesterday, Paul Hudson was pointing out to me the areas of dodge and burn, and it became quite obvious that it's the same approach that an artist would apply, but obviously they would just change the tone of the paint. They would change what they're putting on the brush, on the bristle, to dodge and burn, create that painterly effect, the aesthetic. And I think if you take influence from artists and not photographers, you then apply a whole different way of thinking. Yeah. It gives you some serious inspiration, and instead of being caught up in someone that's doing what you're doing, and you could almost be judging yourself, comparing yourself to other photographers, you're not really going to compare yourself to an artist. An artist is something that you're seeing and loving and enjoying and embracing their style, and you're not comparing your photography, because it's not a paintbrush, it's a camera, and that gives you this freedom of expression. You think, yeah, I can take from Gainsborough, I can take from certain feelings and emotions in great masters paintings like Monet, and use it to your affecting your photography. You might say, well, how do you do that? It could be incidental camera movement. It could be just using a wider aperture. Even taking a prime lens out and shooting at f1.8 and having an area of interest that's sharp and the rest falling off. And that can really give you those effects of a painterly artistic approach.
I saw a picture by Paul Sanders that he made, and I've always thought when he does his ICM top down, I think Bridget Riley. Well, there you go. Saw lots of Bridget Riley at the Tate Gallery. I was a little bit worried about the Francis Bacon stuff we saw. That was a bit dark, wasn't it? I know we've come off the beaten trail in terms of talking about trees, but Francis Bacon stuff, oof, dear, that's a troubled mind.
Yeah, there's a fine example of brush movement, though, isn't it? Yeah. You think you could do a multiple exposure in the woodland, and on the second frame, just move the camera and get those movements that Francis Bacon got. Imagine that, creating woodland images in the guise of Francis Bacon. Yeah. That's quite an interesting thing. I've never thought of doing that. I'll have to have I love that one.
When you start making pictures of trees like Francis Bacon, I'm walking the other way. Mali's looking at this beautiful beach that's now bathing, well, the top 2/3 bathing in the sunlight as it's rising this morning, because we're going to have I don't know whether it'll be completely cloudless, but we're sort of heading that way right now, and I know that's not your favourite light, but you were telling me about how that is gonna, because look at the bottom of the beach here, it's on its way, isn't it? That will fall at some stage, and when that goes, you wouldn't want to be anywhere near it. Years ago, when I was driving home from the studio. I had a studio on a farm about 3 miles out of the town where I was living at the time. Farmer Brown. It was on Farmer Brown's farm. Sounds like a made-up character, doesn't it, from a children's story? But Farmer Brown, Nigel, lovely bloke. I'm still friends with him. Very, very clever farmer, actually. Very savvy. These days, he spends his time fixing combine harvesters for other farmers. He's savvy, he is. Anyway, I was on my way back from Farmer Brown's, and it had been raining all day long. And as I was making my way up this very windy road back towards Newbury, right in front of me, if I'd have been driving just a few seconds earlier, it would have got me. A tree came
Bloody hell.
all the way
Really?
across the road, bang.
Wow.
And I slammed the brakes on, and I don't know how I didn't hit it. It was that close. When it went across the road, it took out a fence that belonged to a lovely old house called Bussock Main. Boosh, it went, and it reminded me of just how big these things are.
Yeah. And
I think that might have been a beach.
scary.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And again, c'est la vie. If it falls on your head, or your car, or your house.
Yeah.
Where do we get off and we're thinking we're more important than these majestic giants? I'm probably, I get it. We have health and safety and all that, But at the end of the day, if you can't move a bit quick because the tree's coming down, then they're not exactly... They'd be in slow motion, wouldn't it? If that went now, I reckon we'd be all right, wouldn't we? It's going to tumble to the left anyway, but it's weakening at the base. So, do you know, there's a little tinge of sadness here. But now we're looking at these because the last couple of times I've been... I didn't see it in this way, but this avenue pathways lined with beech, and most of these are going to be gone. And we're talking 150 to 200 years old, which is old for beech, and they're all going to fall.
Look at that light, just that.
Yeah, that pocket.
There's
of
a
light there.
pocket of light with some very young trees. What are they? What are those trees?
That's rowan, mountain ash, that.
Is it?
You see the white skin, the very pale skin of the branch is very thin.
Well, I know you're all set up properly with your tripod, but I'm going to use my little... I've got to get much closer because I've got
Come on.
I got a 23mm lens. I don't want to get that close.
Oh, go on.
Hang on. No, I do need to get a bit closer. Which equates to a 35mm in full frame lingo, and it's just a little pocket of light on the. And the reason I didn't want to get too close is because I think the context around it is important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you just get like a little spotlit, actually that light's going now, isn't it?
Gone.
Gone. It goes quickly, doesn't it?
We got it though.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Oh no, it's coming
back
again.
It's back again.
Oh, there we go. F4 250 ISO 1/2/5. I'm underexposing by 2 stops, and there we go. The light's going again. It's disappearing quite quickly, but I like that. It's like a little spotlight in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
On the dance floor.
On the dance floor. You do like to name your trees and your views, don't you?
I don't know what you shoot at then, but I'm at 1/40th of a second, 6.3. ISO 64. What was your ISO then? I'm going to bump it
250.
That's why.
And then I was
to 400.
I was a couple of stops under. I often shoot. I underexpose a lot of my photography.
Yeah.
Because I quite like
That's your style,
let's have a
isn't
look.
it?
Oh, look at that. You love stuff that's bright and vibrant and
No, not always.
No?
Well, that's a good point. I think follow your mood. I've said this quite a lot. If you're grumpy, shoot grumpy. If you're happy,
Are you saying I shoot grumpy?
yeah, he's always blue. He's a grumpy bugger. No, he's not. He's not. I do say you should express yourself, and getting out with the camera can be hard when you're not feeling good or it's raining, but let the rain fall on your head, enjoy the mood you're in, use the camera to get it out of you, use that expression. It's been a tough day, I'm not really in a good place, you're feeling down, or something in your life's happening that at that point in time you think, I can't negotiate this. Grab your camera, go out in the rain, go out in the darkness or brightness or any situation.
In that respect then, I've got a whole series of my pictures
There
I
you
could
go.
just title Tax Bill,
There you go.
Water Bill, council tax.
But didn't you feel better? There you go. There's an exhibition there.
Pictures named after tax bills. Last time we were here, we went off-piste a bit. Mali returned home and he had a tick the size of a saucer on his leg. This thing's legs, it was like something from a Jules Verne story. Are you checking yourself?
I'm getting paranoid already. Because the problem is with the internet on this occasion, you look and you want to know, think, what do I do with this tick? And then you start reading all these things, you think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Because before you know it, you're down this rabbit hole of death and darkness and despair.
Yeah, well, mind you should take ticks seriously because, of course, they
that's
can
what I'm saying about
carry some nasty...
But Lyme's disease, so how long a tick... So I didn't know this. So where I live, you don't get ticks.
Why?
I don't know. There's no ticks in Johnny's Woods.
Oh.
I never get ticks. But here, of course, it's a little bit warmer down south. You know, they're not...
It's positively tropical.
Yeah, it is. That old 200-mile journey, it's equatorial for me. Any road.
It is when I go north further past Birmingham. That's when I see my first woolly mammoth, usually.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Derek the woolly mammoth.
Yeah. Is it the warmth? Is that one of those experts now saying, it's nothing to do with that?
No, because Scotland's full of ticks. But I mean, down south, and again...
Don't upset our lovely Scottish friends.
No, but reading about... Well, you get a lot of ticks everywhere, but for some reason...
Not in Johnny's Woods.
Not in Johnny's Woods, no. So maybe someone can answer why. But here, and I've read about it, especially where we are...
Got me itching now.
Savernake is full of them.
Is it?
They're saying that there's a lot, this year already, you know, and...
Well, Barney got one the other day, came back.
Not good.
And it was on the inside of his ear. I thought, what's that? And I got the little tick tool, and honestly, when I took the tick out, you could hear it, and he was very upset with me.
So you don't want to be paranoid when you're out with your camera worrying about bloody ticks, that's for sure.
No.
So I'd just say to you is make sure you're wearing light clothes, make sure you're all tucked in, and you'll be fine going off-piste. You'll be fine. Just give yourself a good brush down. But like I said, don't go reading on internet, because ticks live for days. You can carry them in with you. I could end up with them in my van, and
Oof.
I know. And then it just the idea, isn't it? Tick.
You certainly don't look like you're a fashion accessory.
Anyway, I think we should get...
So he's got his... Let me just explain. Socks are on the outside of his light pants or trousers, and you wear light colours so you can see stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he's wearing cheap Matalan trainers.
These are me hawkers. These are me posh ones. How dare you? Oh.
But no, it is serious business. You did tell me something about how ticks... There's some sort of static thing.
Static. Well, you know, we all use tumble dryers and or our washing machine, put our clothes on, and you get static in your clothes. And I was reading about, I don't know how true this is again, and believe me, I don't really go down rabbit holes. I'm not.
Well, there's too many ticks down there to start with.
There certainly is, and rabbits. Too many rabbits and ticks. But because your clothes, you'll have electrostatic, yeah? Static electricity,
yeah.
The ticks kind of go, jump onto your clothes.
No.
They do get drawn. But when you think about it, you're statically charged.
Yeah.
You brush through some ferns, the ticks will jump off the sticks and stick to you quicker than if you...
Like little fuzzy felt things?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I believe that. That's probably true. Because our clothes are, you know, especially if you had a bit tumble dryer. We don't. We hang them outline up north, you know, because we can't afford things like running water and tumble dryers.
Oh, you silly sausage. Have you been eating the mushrooms this morning? Ticks flying through the air.
Electromagnetic tick.
Never mind your red arrows. Look at those ticks in formation. Look at them, all coming for you.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Oh, dear. Right. Where are we going? We're at a crossroads
we
here.
need to go
North,
back.
south, east, west. What do you want to do?
Go back.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That way or this way? Go on this way. Come with me.
Lead the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, and I was saying about research, all jesting aside, one of the things that really got me quite worried was that Lyme's disease.
Slow down. We're going up this hill.
Yeah, I know, yeah, go. Lyme's disease is, I think, it's terrifying because it's very hard to identify and it can lay dormant in your body, you know. I didn't know this, but you could be bit by a tick and then in a good few years, anything up to 20, 30 years on.
What?
Yeah.
Blimey.
Lyme's disease could rest there dormant in, and you might have a feeling run down and people go for thyroid treatment. I listened to a young gentleman called Ren. For me, he's refreshing. He's part of this new music.
The musician. His music is incredible.
Yeah, well, he spent years.
He's troubled soul in those early songs.
But he's a troubled soul because they couldn't diagnose what was wrong with him, and they were giving him all kinds of mental, you know, antidepressants, and he went through so much, and it turned out he had Lyme's disease. And they didn't know, and it was horrendous what he went through. And now, because of that, he has very serious problems with his digestion and his stomach. But if you're a little bit kind of, I wouldn't suggest you go and listen to Ren if you don't like swearing or very graphic and detailed.
I will. I tell you what I will do. I will put one of Ren's songs in the video library on the show page. It does come with a warning that it deals with fairly strong mental health subjects.
Exactly. And all that mental health and all them problems came because of Lyme's disease.
Oh dear! Wow. That was worth mentioning. What have you seen?
There's another beech tree here, but there's a plethora of colour behind it. Favourite word, plethora. Look at that.
The autumn, autumnal colours.
Well, we've got behind it. We've got an older, very silky bark, and it's quite sparse, very bright. But in the foreground, we've got this textured, dappled beech tree. There's just colour all around. It's enveloped, actually. I'm going to get a shot of that.
Get a shot of that. And we'll leave you with those thoughts just now. Those very, very pertinent, serious thoughts. I did write to Ren, by the way, when you introduced me to him, because it was you. It was a couple of years ago.
It was, yeah.
And I don't know quite how I might have fitted him into one of our shows, but yeah, I'll put a link there anyway. I'll film in the video library. There's a bit of movement in the leaves this morning. There's a beautiful film. Some people say it wasn't at all one of his best films. Have you ever seen Phenomenon? Or Phenomena? It's got John Travolta in it.
Oh, I've not seen it.
Oh, you have to see it. Whenever I hear leaves in trees and movement through trees, I think of this film. Essentially, John Travolta plays this character who's coming home from a bar one night and he sees a bright light in the air, and the bright light gets bigger and bigger and bigger, like it's an alien something or other, and then boosh, knocks him out and he's on the floor, cold. And when he awakes, he starts to discover that he's got this ability to learn really quickly, and it opens up pathways in his brain, and he's able to take whole books remember everything. He takes whole books on board, remembers stuff. He's solving all of his friends' problems with what crops they should, because he lives in a farming community in I can't remember what part of America it was, and he's helping people put the right crops, and they're getting more success, and he's solving mathematical electrical problems, and it's like, whoa, it's almost like this bright light has become this. It's fed his brain in a way that you couldn't imagine.
An enabler of knowledge.
An enabler of knowledge. Very, very good. Now, I'm going to do a spoiler here, but please watch the movie because it's beautiful anyway.
Well.
It turns out that it wasn't an alien light. And what he actually had was he had a tumour that was spreading in a tenticular fashion.
Yeah.
But the doctor said, but what it's doing with you is it seems to be opening up avenues, and when he's in nature, he's able to appreciate nature and the sounds in a way that, well, you probably can, but other people aren't hearing or aren't seeing. And that whenever I hear, and he sat underneath a tree one day, and the tree is moving, and the air is flowing through the leaves, and it's almost like he's at one with this tree into the understory. It's and he's connected to nature.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful film.
I'll have to watch
I'm not going to tell you the ending.
No, I'll watch that.
But
I don't mind John Travolta. A bit more Pulp Fiction for me, like, but yeah.
It's certainly not Pulp Fiction, this one. But I remember I got invited. We went to launch the. You can tell me what you've seen in a second. We went to launch the film when it first came out, and it must have been a very dusty cinema, I think.
Yeah.
Because I was weeping a bit.
Oh dear.
What's that? What's that in the tree there? Is that?
So I think
It looks like a bee's nest or something.
Well, I believe it could be a wasp's nest.
Oh, I'm not going near that. That's perfectly round. Look at that.
I love this scene. This is the kind of thing I talk about where you don't get the full tree in. The tree's got this beautiful stripy effect because the water's run down the bark, so it's sodden in the middle. But we've got one other tree I'm going to have to just shift you to the right a bit. What we're doing, we're getting a bit of distance between one tree and another. I'm getting some of the foreground in. If you look there, it looks like the leaves are swirling.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like it's swirling.
Yeah.
So we've got some...
Do you ever, I know the answer's going to be no, but I'm going to ask you anyway, do you ever apply effects like that? Those Photoshop swirly effects?
No, God, no.
I knew the answer would be no, but I just wanted
When I was younger, yeah. When you start off, you know, when I first...
What are the cliches?
Cliches?
Like swirly effects?
Oh, I guess the autumn effect is a thing that gets used a lot.
Look at the light coming around the bottom of the trunk.
But we're in that specular stuff. It's distracting.
Is it?
I want that muted.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't want that.
Sorry, so swirly effects, what was the other one you said?
So the autumn effect. So I've spoke about being painterly, and I've spoke about softening. And I do it in a different way, but the autumn effect is where you'll add a Gaussian blur and do layering in Photoshop to apply this almost, it's not misty, it just makes the image look more painterly. But I think that's a little bit too far. I think it's almost, remember when HDR become a thing?
Oh, yeah.
And it's exciting at first, there the light's dropped off. It's dropped off a bit more.
So this is good for you now?
That tree's too straight in the background. Maybe it's not working. So we'll just move a bit and I'll...
You've gone right into the foliage now.
Yeah, because I'm hiding the tree. So here's a tip as well.
Yeah.
You've got a distracting element. You can use this big tree to hide the smaller tree behind it. No one else knows. There's only you know that you're hiding things from the scene. So to reveal or to hide, conceal, and remove distraction from a scene where your protagonist is what you want to focus on. So that first shot I took, I thought it worked with the second tree, but the second tree at the back was too straight and it created... It was distracting. Right. So now we've got another beech tree that is actually falling. It's becoming very old. It's you can see massive trunks on the floor. What we were talking about earlier, how they shed the branches. This one, what's in front of us, hasn't. So we've got a bit of a family here, from granddad to dad, or grandma to mother. Let's just pull in a little bit here. Oh, the specular highlights are back. All right, we're going to have to wait now, because look at that. There's too much light.
Is there?
Yeah, so The opposite to what landscape photographers do, where you wait around for that magic moment for light to come. For me here, I want to use the exposure in the camera. I don't want this bright light because separation's a big thing with these trees. Behind them we have light. In the foreground the bark is darker, moist like I said, where the water's come down the core of the tree. And we don't want to have specular highlights because it's distracting. The shapes are abstract and they don't it's dropping off. Is it gonna go? So really we just want the bark reflected light on that, because behind it is illuminated, and that gives it separation.
I tell you what, we'll share this picture on the show page. It's playing with you. It's playing with you.
But we can move on.
It's been a couple of weeks in the UK since... hang on. Now, we do this a lot when we're walking through forests, woodland. But look at this. It's like a little house up the middle of the tree with a little doorway, an entrance.
Yeah,
isn't it?
For the owl or the badger.
It's magical, isn't it?
Wind in the willows springs to mind.
It really is. Right, it's a couple of weeks since those two Herberts that took down the tree at Sycamore Gap, got their sentence. And I don't really want to talk about them. I certainly don't want to mention their names. And I think they got their just desserts. And I think they probably do feel a bit numpty-ish for what they did, because really, in the end, it was just an absurdity. It really was. What were your feelings about that? And I do believe it was a world story. So just in case you don't know the story, there's a beautiful sycamore. Where exactly is it, or where was it?
It's on your way Northumberland, isn't it? On the A69, Roman Road. Well, it's all very Roman, because it's in the cleft of Hadrian's Wall, where the dip in the valley along Hadrian's Wall, which is it was built by the Romans, and this tree. Well, it's in a very famous film with Kevin Costner.
Yes.
Robin Hood.
Prince of Thieves.
With Morgan Freeman's leaning against it.
Yes.
And they're talking to each other, and it become an iconic tree because it's a lone tree, and where it's sat in this bow of the Hadrian's Wall. But I just want to say it's very sad, and I was fortunate to have gone and got a photograph there. And my friend Mark McNeil, he does astrophotography. He got a wonderful.
Oh, I bet that would have been
got
amazing.
A wonderful galaxy, Milky Way over the top of that tree, and he actually won an award and got chosen in a competition in London. He got quite revered for this image. Oh my goodness, we've got 4 oak trees here in front of us.
Well, while you're setting a shot up, let's finish this off about the sycamore tree. So the sycamore was in the middle of the night. These two chaps came along, and for whatever reason decided to take the tree down. They felled the tree, and in the morning, I think a dog walker found it initially, and there it was gone. And the whole country was in mourning for this tree, really, because people had got engaged underneath it. The famous film scenes that you're talking about, people went there it was a pilgrimage for many people, and two men came along and just chopped this thing down for whatever reason. But how did you feel when you saw that story?
So this is where I find that in society in the moment, in the press and the media, this tree was highlighted for a reason. The lads who did it, the idiots that did it, know not what they did, because they were doing it for fame. They've been heard recording saying, we're on the main news, and bragging that they were getting, some kind of
infamy, I suppose.
Yeah, infamy, and this is what I'm getting to. That's one tree, but no one's talking about the thousand of other trees. Like a woodland's just gone up for sale in Windermere. I really hope that they don't strip the place bare and put some kind of bar, restaurant, and whatever you call it, relaxation complex, spa thing, and they probably will, because it's worth a lot of money. And I find that we focus on these singular events. Morning. We focus on these singular events like the Sycamore Gap, but really there's a bigger story here. There's a lot more going on that we don't see that needs to be talked about, and raising awareness through Sycamore Gap.
I thought that did raise good awareness for the cause.
It did, but
you're saying not enough.
No, not enough at all, because it's gone now. I said it earlier, and when we was talking, the trees and the sky and the world around us has so much to offer, and rarely people see it. And then when something's highlighted, that it's for the reasons of it makes front page headlines, it becomes famous in itself to talk about it. When most of these people, 2 weeks or a week before it happened, didn't even know of the tree. They hadn't even heard of it. And I find that we latch on to these events when these singular events are happening all the time, every day. We're losing great trees up and down the country. And that brings us nicely to what we was talking about a little bit earlier, because without having parks or halls or these places with huge grounds and land
which you can look at and think that's just obscene.
Yeah,
but they're
preserved trees. They're preserved acres and foreign imports of trees. They preserved very old cherry trees and very old larch trees, reaching up, hundreds of feet. There's a place in the Lake District called Rydal Mount, and this is like the Lord and Lady's Manor, and there's many of them. Chatsworth's another one. They're all over our wonderful country, and whether you agree with the aristocracy or royalty or not, the preservation of these incredible trees are all over this country in places of residence in these halls and lands and landscapes that were preserved by Capability Brown and other architects of nature. And in a way, yes, man's hand has took a part in that, but when you go and you see a tree that's over 1,000 years old and he's looked after and nurtured and kept, I think thank goodness that we did have some investment and money into it. And the Sycamore Gap is part of that, and I hope they realise now that these areas that people go to, like Malham Lawn Tree, there's another one. The Twig at Buttermere, Clinpadan in I probably just butchered the way I said that, in Snowdonia, Erie. There's a tree there that's very famous. There's many, many trees around that we need to now make sure that they're protected in a way, but don't fence them off.
Just along the road here, I'm reticent now to say the actual name of the place. You know how people sometimes guard locations. I feel like I should guard it. Not that anybody's going to be listening to this podcast that would do harm to this tree. But there's a country home that I've worked at quite a lot when shooting weddings, and I didn't realise it. I'd always noticed across the field from this particular home this lone tree in the middle of farming land. And just one day it was while the wedding meal was going on, the banquet was going on, and it was a nice warm day, and I was out on the back lawns. I was just looking across the land, and one of the staff members came up, just having a break, and he said, "Oh, see that tree over there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you know that's a pretty famous tree?" And I said, "Oh, I didn't know that. Why is that?" It was a huge, magnificent oak. And he said, "Well, that was planted by Queen Elizabeth I."
Oh, wow.
That is
special, isn't it?
Special.
Yeah.
Look, there's your 4 oaks.
Look at that. They're incredible.
Right, come on, let's go find some others. Do you need a cuddle?
I went on a bit then, didn't I? Sorry.
I'm assuming the big bangs we occasionally hear, we're not that far from Salisbury Plain. If you hear some big bangs. That's where they test the artillery. Red flags just down the road, marking off roads that you really shouldn't be driving along. So if you do hear the odd bang, that's what's going on. That's not Mali stamping his foot and getting angry about Sycamore Gap again. Right, let's do some kit talk. Kit talk. Oh, I'm getting a nosebleed already. If you want to start photographing woodland and trees, what do you think are the essential, I'm looking at your bag here, what are the essential bits of kit that you take with you? Actually, consider it from the days when you started.
Yeah. Well, when you start, you think you need everything, don't you? You go by, you know, if there was a specific piece of equipment that was created for woodland photography, you know, like the lens rest. I don't know.
Is there actually something called a lens rest?
Well, you do get these plastic things you can screw on the front to hold your lens up.
I saw one. Actually, I saw somebody, it's like a pistol grip for a long lens, which is probably a good idea when you've got those things that are so heavy.
You don't need anything. You need a camera and a lens. And to be fair, a kit lens starting off would do you fine because you're not after sharpness here. Well, it's a point of view, isn't it? My photography doesn't solely rely on detail to the extent of, say, a portrait. It depends what mood you're setting. But for woodland, I think just go out with whatever you've got. Learn more about composition and learn more about how you can get your images to... I want to avoid saying... People say woodland's messy, but it's just because you're looking at the mess. Learn how to see...
focal length.
So learn how to see...
You've got 24 to 200 millimetre lens.
So this
when I would have thought you'd have had a wide angle lens, but I've subsequently learned across the last few years that actually you need that reach sometimes.
Well, I enjoy the compression from this lens, as in it brings things, it makes the background fall off more and you push into the scene more with this focal length. But I just have this because I use this as my one lens to rule them all. If you're out on a good hike, a good walk, you don't need 5 primes, 2 bodies, this down the other. I use my Z7 because it is quite a high megapixel camera. And
it's lightish.
Yeah, it's not. It's a mirrorless camera, so it is light. I don't go to that where, I'm going Micro Four Thirds, I'm getting a smaller system, it's lighter, it's better on my back. I think just really, most of mirrorless cameras now are tiny, small and don't weigh much. In terms of gear, I'd say get a lens that you like the way it renders. Learn by just reading online, looking at other photographers' pictures as well. Speak to them, reach out, send me a message, ask me, ask anyone who's in photography. I'll mention Simon Baxter here. He's a wonderful, the toppest of the most top woodland photographers there is. I admire Simon very much.
Yes.
And he would, if he gets time, obviously answer you, but he has all his kit online. But that's what he uses. Find what you need to use. I quite like using the 24 to 200 because it gives me flexibility. It gives me reach. I can compose in camera by using the zoom. But I used to use an 85 and a 50. I did like shooting, I mentioned earlier, shooting wide open at f1.8. But that's not essential. And what do you get with that? Yeah, you've got to be quite involved in the edit when you start opening up apertures and start shooting with big primes. And here's a good one. Come out with a camera and one lens and just walk and shoot. Your camera you've got now will do ideally.
That's my little 23mm on the X100V, which is a 35mm, as I mentioned earlier. And
The problem with wider lenses is you might find you need to move
I'm a bit
around.
Limited. I have to get close in.
You've got to get...
Yeah. Well, if I want particular kinds of shots, I'm on a wander.
So you hear people say about leave the sky out with wood. Oh, what a sound.
Wow.
Leave the sky out with woodland photography. So if you are using a wider lens, you're going to introduce a lot more into your frame. And when you introduce more into your frame with woodland, that's when it becomes messy and chaotic.
Yeah.
You want to figure out the composition by placement, where you stand in accordance in position to the tree, and move around to find a way to aesthetically place, or at least create a story where those trees are placed. And that can be any lens, any kit. I just use this because I like the high megapixel. It gives me the scope to crop if I like. How dare I say that, crop? Well, yeah, cropping is a big part of woodland, or at least an aspect ratio where you fit what you want in that scene.
Yeah, you're not afraid of going wide in a shot. I noticed on the front here you've got a lovely, is it a Nissi filter you've got?
I use
So is this a magnetic one?
So that's a magnetic filter
So
ring.
it pops on and off really easily. Does it?
Screws
Is
on
it
the front.
strong magnetic?
Yeah,
Is it?
very, very strong. This kit is just really easy to use, but at the end of the day, for woodland, what would I put on? I've got a black mist filter. You could use a black mist filter.
Oh, I like this set. Look how it all fits
So it's
together.
like a puck. It's like a hockey puck.
Yes, it is.
I've got a 10 stop, a 6 stop, a 3 stop. I've got a polarizer, which will just pop on,
Woman.
and that just done. And that I ain't going.
That's not moving, is it?
They've got this little kind of clip area now where it won't come off at all.
Can you do a variable ND on there
There's
as well?
you can get a variable for the Jet Mag. It's called the Jet Mag Pro. Not sponsored by Nissi, but I am affiliated with them. They've supported me for many years. I've got to say they're a great brand. Really good to go out with the guys.
Can you get me one?
Well, so this system itself is all magnetic now.
It's lovely.
You've got, like I say, I've got a black mist.
You need step up or step down rings.
Yeah, you do. So my front is a 67. And it goes to 82. So this system is an 82.
Right.
And then you screw on a magnetic step up ring or step down ring. And I'll just show you now here. I use a black mist for street photography.
Yeah.
Mostly at night, but I at the moment I've been leaving it on a lot because one of the prime.
Why would you use black mist?
Well, a quarter black mist, it softens the image. It introduces slow fall off with light. Now, for woodland, actually could work quite well, because if you want to get more of that dreamy, painterly scene, and you've got a bright day like we're getting now, we're getting actually too much light. I'll just show Neil on the back.
Oh, actually, I've got black diffusion here, 1/4 on the front of my.
And by using that, the way the light dissipates, because the black mist itself's got these little speckles on this softness applied to it. Don't ask me the science. I don't bloody know. It just does what I need it to do. It's got sometimes they have you'll see flecks or thicker black mist, like an 1/8. This is a 1/4, so it's very delicate. There isn't really a lot.
It's just dropped on the floor.
Dropped it.
Right.
Here we go.
Fortunately, on nice soft understory there.
But the toughened glass, it's optical glass.
Did you drop that on purpose to make that point? I did,
just to make that point. I've dropped many a Nissi filter. I used to use Grads. I used to use the V7 system, which is slide-in filters. Now I find the only time I use filters is for long exposure, minimalist photography.
I had a lot of Lee filters in the early days. I've got a box load of them. Now you've got a Ben Rowe. Other flavours are available tripod. Is there a reason why you've chosen this?
It's very light. It's carbon fibre, the tortoise. I got an extension tube on the top because I got it short for doing the mountains. It's not very tall until I put this extension tube on. But craftily, I worked out how much was the taller one. The taller one was a lot more expensive. How much heavier was the taller one you can get? And it was more expensive. So I figured if I got the slightly smaller one, I think this is the 24C, don't know the exact height, and I've got this tube mount, this extension mount that sits on the top. It's lighter and it's taller. Watch this. I know you can't. But Neil can.
I'm watching
Let's
it.
explain here. We've got one screw comes down and lift up, and we've got another screw thread.
It goes
now
quite high, yeah.
we're above my head.
Yeah.
So for woodland, quite a good position
Perfect.
to get is high.
Yeah.
And then point your camera down. By doing this, you cut the sky out. And I very rarely use a tripod though. So this morning the tripod's come along because of the lights, because it was quite subdued.
And then you've got the plate that you use to go into your camera through a small rig. I noticed you've got a small rig on your camera
So
here.
I've got an L bracket, so I
Yes.
can just quickly just whip that off,
And then it
go into
go
portrait.
into portrait mode, yeah.
Bang straight into portrait.
Yeah.
But the thing with the L bracket, I have underneath a Peak Design clip.
Right.
So when I'm out with my Shimoda bag, there you go, that's the bag I use sometimes, I can slide my Peak Design clip into the strap on my rucksack and walk around with the camera ready straight to, because I like to run and gun, I like to shoot a lot when I get excited. You might not realise that. But the Shimoda, the Peak Design clip is fantastic on the Shimoda bag. But I've got a Manfrotto messenger bag, and I've had this now for about 8 months, and it fits me butties, me drink. It can put 2 cameras in, lots of lenses, filters, all my sound recording equipment, my straps, all my batteries, and it's not really that big.
Actually, I like this. I like me Dumpka.
Yeah.
But I have to say, this is far more weatherproof, this one.
Yeah, it does.
I am
actually.
quite impressed with this, and it's got a lot of pockets.
Yeah.
Man needs pockets.
Yeah, lovely bag. Lovely bag. I've not made a video of it.
Yeah.
So as a content creator for talk about equipment is the staple, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't go down that road because, let's face it, for me, everything I do is for photography. I'm not bouncing around and shouting about my Benro tripod on my YouTube channel. I'm more excited by what I'm seeing, and like now where we're stood. And I find it difficult to advertise gear and talk about gear. So it is interesting that we're doing this, and I do possibly need to do it more. What else do we use in terms of that? Well,
I think that's it,
that's
isn't it?
about it. Well,
Yeah.
I've got an Action 4 from
Yeah, that's for your YouTube, though. What else can I look in there, see what you've got?
My Peak Design strap.
Yes.
I love Peak Design. I've got my ZF with me as well, which we'll use for video.
Yeah.
Lens clean. Oh yeah, tip of the day. Dun, dun, dun. Chamois leather.
Chamois.
When it's raining, the chamois leathers
Ooh,
are
yes,
just
yeah.
fantastic. They say you shouldn't wipe your lens, but when it gets really heavy,
You need to.
the chamois just soaks it all up, and you're good to go with your lens.
My friend Giles, your friend Giles now as well.
Yeah.
He uses chamois leathers to put round his cameras before he puts them into a bag.
Right.
Nice soft chamois leather.
Yeah.
Perfect. There we go. Kit done. Tick off list. Oh, don't mention ticks again. I love the way that you name your trees. They are real characters in the stories that you make. I know stories is a word that I actually think it's overused sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a story in everything. And when people say, and I
agree.
I know it's the familiar thing that I say when I moot when the word awesome is mentioned. And these stories about an awesome blackberry muffin. I mean, that's not a story, and it's not awesome. It's a blackberry muffin.
Yeah.
Let me not go off on one.
Yeah.
But I love the way you have names for all of your protagonists and the trees in your pictures. We're standing before one now, and we should probably get a picture of it. Shall I do a quick sketchbook of it?
Yeah, go on.
Let me do one of my sketchbooks.
Because it is sky, and it's quite
Yeah,
tall. It's big.
it's not a picture that you would take, is it really? Because of the
No, I'm gonna have a
the
pop
sky
of it.
there. But
No, I
I'm
quite like that.
I'm going to get a picture. Shutter speed 150th, f4, ISO 160, and these fingers that are reaching into the... is that an oak? It's an oak, isn't it?
It's a dead tree. Yeah,
A dead parrot.
I think it was once an oak.
An oak, yeah.
I'm not sure why that's dead. It's a bit weird. It's not that old neither.
It looks very old, but all these lovely, these fingers, these branches.
It's look at the bark. Almost looks like it's folding back, and it's a beech.
Is it a beech?
Yeah, it's a dead beech.
Okay.
That's the end. We're at end stage here.
It looks like an oak to me.
No, it's a beech.
Okay.
Look at this here.
Yeah.
Similar texture. Can you see?
That's a beech.
And that's starting to fall.
Yeah.
Actually, we're very under this, and those limbs are not strong.
Okay.
You see how they're all folding in here?
Yeah.
This is seriously old.
Yeah.
That's at the end point. So we're looking at 300 years.
300
here.
years. So I've got a name for this tree.
Yeah. Go on.
And you've got a name for the tree, and I wonder how ours will differ. So, you're going to tell me yours first, or shall I tell you mine?
Go on, give me yours first. Go on.
I've called it Aunt Sally.
Oh.
And you might be thinking, why Auntie Sally? And I'm feeling a little bit mean, because I did love me Auntie Sally. Auntie Sally and Uncle Bruce, they lived in Cuffley, just along from a camp that we used to go to with a school. I don't actually think I went to that camp at the end. I went somewhere else on my school trip. But anyway, they lived close to that. Auntie Sally and Uncle Bruce, and they had a collie dog, which I loved.
Yeah, but why why?
Auntie Sally looked a little bit like the child catcher out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I'm looking skywards as I say this. Sorry, Auntie Sally, I love you. But she had these sort of gnarly hands and... no, and the shape that she would take. I'm not talking an arthritic shape, by the way. So I'm being cautious here for anybody that says you're being a.
Sounds like the woman out the twits.
Well, I don't know, maybe, but I just think it was her shape.
Yeah.
That was Auntie Sally, and she was always doing stuff, making stuff.
Oh wow!
And her hands were like they'd be everywhere. So make this, do that, move that there, move that. She was a great crafter.
Yeah,
and that's I think that's Auntie Sally.
That's a lovely title. I like that, because no one knows who Aunt Sally is.
No.
Well, unless you watch Wurzel.
Oh yes, Aunt Sally and Wurzel.
Oh, slice of cake, Aunt Sally. Oh, lovely. Well, I've called this. It's not. I just popped in my head because it reminds me a bit. It's a bit Gandalfy, so I've called it the Death of a Wizard.
Oh yes, I can see that. Death of a Wizard.
Look at that cloud moving above it. That's quite haunting looking. Oh, and a little wren's just flew in the top of the tree.
And a leaf dropped right in front of it.
Hey.
Gradually.
Oh, it's beautiful. It is a beach.
Yeah.
There's the wren.
Running low on the borderlines. Talk is cheap and we're wasting time.
I was just pointing out to Mali in this beautiful forest. Suddenly, there was, along the track, there was concrete everywhere. What's concrete doing here? They wouldn't have had a path through here. Wouldn't have been a road. And you said, maybe there was some sort of military involvement through here at some stage. I might have to look that up in my history.
Logging. I was thinking mostly. Because there's a lot of big trees here, but not as many as there should be.
So you think at some stage this was used to ship build or...
Yeah, so what I was going to say is when you think about how many we've seen, it's more than... I'm sorry, I keep seeing...
Did you hear somebody shouting?
Yeah, little kids playing over there. Okay. We must be getting to civilization.
Yeah.
So we'll have to stop here. We'll carry on, but I'm gonna have to shoot through there. Not while we're talking though.
What have you seen?
Look, there the different colours of green and light. Can you see that thin stem?
Yeah, but you're going to have to shoot right through this tree.
Yeah, I can get through there. This is where the 200 comes in. But I didn't want to interrupt what we were saying because
So
we were
tell
saying,
me
why is
about
there
that,
a
yeah,
road
yeah,
here?
yeah.
Well, I said military, but actually now thinking it could be a logging. They could have had trucks coming down here. Let's go back to, say, early 1900s, before First World War, or even older than that, going back to like 1700s, or going back even further than that to like like battles at sea. What a ship's made of? They're made from wood. We pillaged the land. Yeah. We destroyed many, many great trees across this wonderful country, using them for building churches, building anything, getting huge boats to sea for wars, and further on throughout history, up to the First World War, wood would have been used a lot. We spoke a little bit about this the other day. I pointed out, if you look at some very, very old churches, and I mean very old, you'll see that the metal railings that were once ornate and used all got sawn off in the First World War and the Second World War to melt down and make weapons from, or make ammunitions from, or to use for boats, or for use for tanks or whatever. So you can see how throughout history the way the landscape's changed, and sadly the big trees, there's no one thing. I often think, why are there no massive, huge trees in this country? They're few and far between, because we really did scour the land and cut down these giant oaks. So next time you go in church, look up at that ceiling and just work out how many trees were used. I'm not going to use the word slaughtered, but how many trees were used to build that structure, and then think that's why across this great land of ours we don't have many ancient trees anymore, because we stripped them. And if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you'll know Tolkien wrote about this. He put it in his books with the Treebeard and how they stripped the forests to burn them. That's another point as well. Mass burning of trees for manufacturing. The Industrial Revolution caused great damage to our nature and trees. Smelting, turning, iron and metals into shapes and forms. How did they do that back then? Well, they burnt a lot of wood. They burnt a lot of trees, and I guess great woodlands and great forests were used as a form of fuel.
Did you say that it affected parts of the north more than the south?
Oh, God, yeah. But think of the Industrial Revolution. It didn't happen in London, did it?
No.
This isn't me being your typical northerner complaining, us up north, we had fit roll sleeves up and get stuck in cock, But let's face it, a lot of mills, a lot of mining, a lot of machining, especially machine. Fred Dibner springs to mind.
Oh, Fred.
A great mechanic, just a wonderful man. Yeah. But there were many Freds. There weren't. Fred was one of a collection, a breed of people back in time where they were great engineers, and these great engineers build your bridges, and you build your structures, and architectural forms were starting to be created through machining metal, and all this took place, I'd say, across a swathe, a bank of the land from north west to northeast. The Industrial Revolution heavily affected that area, and as far-reaching as Birmingham. Yeah. Your Bradford coming down, you've got Manchester, Bury, even to where I was fetched up in St Helens with Beechams and Cromptons and lots of welding areas. Even my mum was a welder. She used to have big my mum, like a big permed and many a time she used to come home from work and my dad would say, you've lost another chunk of her, because when they were welding, you'd get a bit spitting out off metal, and it'd land in her ear, and it'd Dot, you're on fire again.
No.
Yeah.
The stories you come out with. Is that true?
It's very true, yeah. My mum had she used to have a beehive in the 60s.
I thought you were about to say she had a beard.
Yeah, she had a beard, and she had a beehive. Well, It was the 60s, wasn't it? That was the style. And
Proper Marge Simpson.
Yeah, proper Marge Simpson, and she'd go to work at Crompton's and be working on main line welding, and welding like for tractors or welding for machinery and things like that, and they'd look out for each other as they were working, women and men working together. This is another thing about what people don't realise, is that if you could move and you had arms and legs, you went to work. It didn't matter if you were male or female, and now all this housewives and stuff. Well, it weren't quite like that in a lot of places where I were fetched up. Women were as important, if not more important, to men, because they'd have gut work as well. And my mum had gut work, and she'd have to make a wage, and my dad would have to make a wage. And this is in the 60s and 70s, where we needed two wages, to survive. So my mum worked at Crompton's and worked at Beecham's as well. That's another one with Beecham's, because she'd come home and she'd be covered in all the chemicals and powders.
Oh, Beecham's as in Beecham's powders.
Beecham's powders, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, Beecham's came from St Helens.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, what have you seen here?
Oh, it's just it's actually quite romantic. This I've just seen a birch.
Yeah.
Is it sycamore? No, that's a sycamore. This is a birch, which is unusual.
I like the three of them together. There's the silver and these muted green, olivey green tones. I see them lining up together here. And do you know, I'm thinking of a name.
Go on.
Guard of Honour.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
You can
I
have
like
that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at this single tree here. Whimsical.
Yeah. I'll let you get a picture of that.
If you're listening from outside the UK, you may have heard the phrase the North-South Divide as we were discussing during our walk there, and wonder what it means. In simple terms, it's a way of describing the economic and social differences between the north of England and the south, especially London and the surrounding areas. Of course, there's stories west in Wales, there's stories north in Scotland, but essentially the north-south that we're referring to, or Mali was referring to, was this particular story from the 50s through to the 80s, where the South began to benefit more from investment, booming industries like finance and government focus. Meanwhile, the North, once the engine room of Britain's industrial power, saw its coal mines, its mills, its shipyards decline. Jobs vanished, and communities built around those industries were left struggling, obviously. It's not just geography, it's about opportunity and identity and pride. And even though time has moved on, many people will tell you the effects of that divide are still felt today. It is part of the cultural conversation. And if you want to see how those years looked and felt through the eyes of those who walked the streets with a camera, you'll find it in the work of photographers like Don McCullin, whose images from the north are as raw as they are respectful. Shirley Baker brought warmth and wit to her pictures of street life in Manchester and Salford during a time of upheaval. Chris Killip, a name we've talked of many times in the past, captured the hardship of communities hit hardest by industrial decline. Tish Merthyr gave voice to working-class youth. And then there's Daniel Meadows, who travelled the country in a double-decker bus, photographing everyday people from both north and south, making portraits that feel like time capsules. Even Martin Parr, with his bright colours and wry humour, turned his lens on the Britain of the 80s, poking gently at the class divide with sharp observation.
A couple of weeks ago, Mali, I did something on reflections, and it was about your about your brother who you recently laid to rest, Clive.
Yeah.
And I talked in reflections because I talked to you a bit about Clive, and I know he's not the absolute inspiration for your photography and your filmmaking and your love for forestry and woodland. But he's a part of the story, isn't he?
Oh, huge part of the story. And I've got to say, you set me off. What you recorded and what you said was beautiful. It was a lovely tribute, and I have not many words to say about that other than thank you so much.
Oh, no, that was my privilege. It really was. But you took Clive, you took his ashes.
We did.
And you climbed haystacks. I love the names that they give the mountains in the Lake District. I always remember when dear Niels Armelink said to me, we're going to go and climb High Street.
Yeah.
And I thought he meant an actual high street, and at the end would be a lovely posh coffee shop, but it wasn't like that at all. Sadly, I never did get to climb that with him, but you climbed haystacks, and you took Clive's ashes. Yeah. You went with Dawn, your wife, and Clive's son, your nephew Lee, and you laid the ashes to rest. Not right at the top. No. There's an amazing bit just below it, and I'll let you describe it.
We got to, it's quite a walk actually. We got to Honister Pass around 7:30 in the morning and set off. It's a bit of a shortcut.
You went early?
Yeah, we set off at 5. I picked Lee up at 5 and off we went, and it's a bit of a shortcut, Honister Pass, because you don't go down to Buttermere and come up the valley from the path down below.
So it's an easier climb?
No, it's not much easier because it's the old slate mine. I say old slate mine, it's now a fully functioning slate mine again. Oh. But it's the, what could I say? It's quite the gradient to start. You do about 300 metres straight up. And it's the old stone path, and then you get to where the bothies are. Not Warner scale bothy, Dubs bothy, I think. Bothy is an old slate built or stack stone shepherd's hut or kind of building house that has bunks in it. And a bothy is, if you're out on the fells, you can always get some shelter, warmth, and cook yourself a bit of food in them. And they're scattered all over the Lake District, more in Scotland, because obviously you're getting out into the wilds and wilderness in Scotland, and a bothy is a great place to rest, recuperate before you set off or escape a storm. And there's a couple we passed on your way to haystacks, but before you come up you go around this beautiful ravine that drops off about 600 feet to Buttermere. It's incredible, stunning, and you wrap yourself round the edge of this kind of cliff edge and head up, and it opens up, and it opened up to Inanimate Tarn, which is synonymous really with Sir Alfred. He should have been a Sir Alfred Wainwright. His ashes are spread there, but
it was his favourite place, wasn't it?
It was a resting spot. You're surrounded by Pillar, Great Gable.
So these are all mountains.
The big boys, the Scarfells. You're surrounded by some big mountains, and you've got this just tranquility of water, this black tarn in front of you. And we got to the top of this cleft of this hill just as we were seeing Inanimate Tarn, and it was a moment, a breath, an intake. Even my wife, who I put off fell walking once by nearly freezing her to death on Helm Crag doing photography, she was just silent. We all went silent, and so did the tarn. It was a bit of a spiritual moment, like a breathing in, like my nephew did a bit of poetry.
Did he? I feel a bit choked up about that.
This was at the funeral.
Oh, right.
He did a story called Breathe In, and it was about how musicians are. You're taking your last breath, so you breathe in to blow out, and this. I wish I had the poem with me now to recite. I'll get it, and maybe Neil can put it in the description. And when we got to Inanimate Tarn, there was this feeling of breath, silence, flat, calm water, nothing. And we'd been in wind on this walk, bear in mind, and then all of a sudden, the place where we were going to rest him was laid silent,
Understandably, Mali needed a moment. So, in the peace of this majestic forest, I stopped rolling, cut, as Mali might say on his YouTube films, so that he could recenter, recompose, as we'd say in photography. But it does give me a moment, though, to read you the poem that Mali referenced. Beautiful words that talk of life and passing by Anthea Ballum. There is a moment in musical rehearsal when all the players, the choir, the woodwind and brass, the strings and percussion, the entire orchestra stops. And there is peace. The conductor says 2 words, and rest. Voices cease to sing. The woodwind put down oboes and clarinets. The brass lay down trumpets and trombones. Others do the same, because the music is over. There's no audience, there is no applause. In that moment, quietness reigns, yet the quiet that follows remains harmonious. There is a certain silence, a space for reflection and repose. The music is remembered, and so we contemplate the highs, the lows, the passage of melody. Sometimes we feel sad because the chords have drifted away, finished, completed. Some will feel loss, others experience relief, and others deep sadness. Together we share that moment of closure when the conductor says, and rest.
We put the ashes there, and we had rose petals off my daughter's.
Oh, yeah.
Yellow and red rose petals.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, they're organic. We can spread them. That's fine. I think we was doing something that was a bit special. And the petals lay on the water, and his ashes fell into the deep dark.
Yeah, into the waters.
Into the waters of inanimate Tarn. And what was quite funny, again, I think in dark times, black humour.
Did Clive have a dark humour?
Oh, God, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah. So I had the drone with me, so after we'd had some silence, there was no people there. I thought, I'll fly the drone to get some footage of the Tarn. And I took the drone up to about 50, 60 feet, and lo and behold, you could see the white of his ashes flickering and glittering in the bottom of the Tarn.
Wow.
So he wasn't gone. He was hanging around, you know. He was still hanging around, and that's a lovely piece of footage, actually. And then the petals were all just resting on the water. And then from that point, we went up and topped out on haystacks.
Yeah.
And we spent quite a bit of time looking out. You could see Solway Firth. You could see the mountains in Scotland. It's a beautiful peak. And if you do go up there, maybe just have a moment to think about not just my brother, but many people. I guess many ashes are spread there.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I think Mr. Wainwright said if you come up there, careful where you tread, because there might be a bit of grit in your boot, and it could be himself. You know,
God.
So tread lightly and careful with what you stand on.
I think we've walked right through the forest. I think we have. Where are we? This, I tell you what, this is how Blair Witch started. You know that?
This is like a logging road. Big one there.
This does look like a logging road, doesn't it?
We'll go back that way. We might have to do another circuit.
Yeah.
We'll go round again.
As the song goes.
Yeah.
As the song goes. I don't know whether I've asked you this question, but it's the final one today. And you know what the final question is in every single show. But I don't think you've ever done yours on the show. And if you have, they do change a little bit. Oh, here comes a car. That's a camper van.
It's an Alf.
It's an Alf? What's an Alf?
It's a Toyota Alphard. I had one. Beautiful vehicle. Oh, no, it's not. It's a Hellfire. It's a Toyota Hellfire. Oh. It is.
That sounds serious.
Highway. Elgrand. It's an Elgrand, Nissan Elgrand. Very similar.
No context here at all.
So they're like a MPV people carrier.
Right.
Japanese imports.
Yeah.
I had a Toyota Alphard, which was a Japanese import.
Oh, that's why you called it Alf.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
now I know why.
Wonderful vehicles, but I had to get rid because it cost a fortune in petrol.
Did it?
Yeah, very expensive.
Yeah.
2.3 litre, you see, and not diesel.
Is he turning round? Is he coming back for us?
There's the main door.
Can you walk through there? Because you really can't walk.
There's a path over there.
Oh, no, yeah, but there's a big fence here.
So there must be a hole in fence. Should we go downwards instead of upwards?
All right. This is not
Sorry, listeners.
This is not getting my final question answered. Hang on. I keep having a duck under the spiky tripod. You're going to have my eye out in a minute. Right, I'm going to ask you this question. So, what's your why?
I'm not very good at this. I don't self-analyse. I'm frightened of what I do disappears. So why? I have to. I'm compelled to. This is a part of my DNA. I grew up with it. And not photography, but just nature and creativity. My uncle did backgrounds for Danger Mouse. He worked on Charlton and the Wheelies. He worked on Talking Parcel was a movie. Then BFG was a big movie by Cosgrove Hall.
So was he an animator?
He was an animator.
Right.
He ended up in production. Ended up being a manager for Cosgrove Hall.
Massive company.
Yeah, well, you say massive. They produced Count Duckula, Danger Mouse, Jamie and the Magic Torch.
I grew up with Jamie and the Magic Torch. Yeah. Jamie and the Magic Torch, to me, though, has a sort of bittersweet memory.
It does, yeah.
And the reason for that is because it seemed to always be on at lunchtime, I think, Jamie and the Magic Torch. And it was only ever on when I was off school ill.
Yeah.
and it also reminds me of the operations I had when I was a youngster.
Yeah. Tomato soup and Jamie and the Magic Torch.
And that's it. That's so it's a strange memory, Jamie and the Magic Torch. Jamie and the Magic Torch. Do you remember the rest of it?
No, God.
Oh, that was a memory. I apologise about that. This is the weirdest why.
Well, it's just because, I grew up with that. The why was creativity. My granddad was an artist. He did paintings of landscapes. We were surrounded by these as kids. And we're not talking little things. My granddad did paintings were like 2 metres wide by 1.5 metres tall. And he was just prolific oil painter.
Yeah.
And seeing that was just wonderful. And then my brother could do pencil drawings. I remember he did a drawing of Grace Jones when I was little. And it was just brilliant. It's so good. Look what we've stumbled on here.
What's this?
Oh, hey. Forestry England. Oh, this looks good. Oh, what?
Is this for cattle or horses?
This could be for deer.
Do you think so?
Putting fences up.
Anyway, your brother.
I'm not doing it justice. He could draw anything, and it was real charcoal detailed.
Yeah.
That's
a skill.
He was very talented and amazing on guitar, and all around me, people growing up could play instruments. My mum was very creative, and without it wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be me. I'd be a pinstriped express man. Although I work in a corporate environment, I'm still doing design. There's an element of creativity.
Yeah.
I had to. I couldn't survive without it. In mental health terms, or just being me, these moments, these times out with camera, with friends or without, and I do implore people, you should go out with people like-minded, have conversations like we've done this Wednesday with Neil.
Because we've just recorded the 500th
Yeah.
show, so this is slightly out of sync. That's still to come.
Yeah, but that's the why, isn't it? That for me, that's the why, is being involved in this world of creativity. And I don't get told what to do. It's my choice, and I'll do it when I want to do it. And that's it, really. It just makes me who I am.
Do you want to sing Jamie and the Magic Torch again?
No, I think that's it. I just thought about that. Oh God, he's going to put that in.
I am. Go on, get a final picture of a tree.
Look at that there.
Yeah?
I think it's a hawthorn. I don't know why we've come in here, but it looks more wild.
We've not been in this bit before.
No.
Usually the wire tails off beautifully, but I think today, just listening to you find another composition's quite an apposite way to end. We've got to go and find a bacon butter yet.
We do.
A new wind is blowing today. I think I can see the shore. It was so dark yesterday. I never did hope for more. And don't know what came over me the moment you caught my eye. I was alone on the sea, but never did find out why. You saw something there where I was drifting. You sent up a flare to bring me home. In anyone else's eyes, we were alone on the sea, under deserted skies. I saw something there, out in the distance, a wing and a prayer to bring you home. A new wind is blowing today.
I know the last few weeks I've been moving away, well, suggesting I move away from the play out song. I know, pups, I can't believe it either. People like it seems. Do you like it? Do you like the play out song? That was a yawn, by the way. Ah, there's a bark. Yes, that is it? One bark for yes. So that's why you heard a song there, a song to suit the mood of today's show, I think. A song called New Wind. Wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Mali in the forest, and there will be many pictures on today's show page, of course. And I expect at some stage in the future we might do that again, perhaps actually on the street, the chaos and the calm bit. If you'd like to hear a little more from the photo walk each week, head to the website and click Extra Mile or the orange support button on the or support the show button rather on the front of the website. Your help keeps us walking here week after week. Mali's actually here on the Extra Mile for 3 more stops, and the reflection in the middle is called My Photographic Superpower for reasons that will become very clear. Just a few closing thoughts then before the PS. My sincere thanks to you if you are or you're about to become an extra miler. We'll keep building this wonderful community of kindness in the photographic and walking world together. A safe place to share our thoughts about this thing that we do, photographing and walking. A few mentions for those who smooth the voyage for me. Neil Ford, of course, who looks after IT, or looks after me as much as IT. My thanks also to Andrea Gilpin, who keeps a watchful eye over Instagram, as does Kelly Mitchell for Facebook, and to Michael Mixon, who helps with show research. Right, a postscript for the show. Today it's from, can you guess? Would it be Alfred Wainwright, Neil? Oh, you're just too good at this game. A fell walker was Alfred, author, illustrator, whose hand-drawn guidebooks to the Lakeland Fells became love letters to the hills. Quiet in nature, yet his work has spoken loudly to generations of walkers seeking solace and beauty and purpose in the wilds, as we discussed today on the show. And this is the PS I've chosen for the week from Alfred Wainwright, which I think speaks not just of the fells that he walked and loved, but of the places we all visit as photographers, our favourite walks, our favourite haunts, if you like. He said this: "The fleeting hour of life of those who love the hills is quickly spent, but the hills are eternal." Come on, Pops, this way. Come on.
What's there to hold in the light of this moon?
Come on.
My mind keeps searching, but my heart decides. Thoughts can be cruel, they're not mine to hold. The space unravels when you let go.
The Photo Walk is a Loading Zone production.